All right, it looks like it's right up 8 o'clock. Um, Looks like people are joining us, and that's great. So tonight we're actually going to be talking about all things LinkedIn. I call it how to have a stop the scroll LinkedIn profile, because the whole point of having an online profile is to catch the attention of recruiters and hiring managers and to build your network so that you can, so that you'll be able to find out when there are opportunities that match your set of skills and needs. So tonight we're going to walk through 5 elements of your profile that you really need to work on, get those in top-notch shape, and that way you will stop the scroll. So with that, hang on just a second, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can all see the presentation. All right, so let's see, let's make sure. All right, there we go. All right, that looks better, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to minimize me so that I'm not in the way up here. And we're going to get on with it. So tonight we're talking about stopping the scroll and making sure that you have an attention-getting LinkedIn profile. So one of the things that I like to talk about is, the reason that we have a LinkedIn profile in the first place is because you want to find that job that's going to bring you fulfillment, engagement, financial stability, and opportunity. And in today's digital marketplace, having an online profile that catches the attention of recruiters and hiring managers is an absolute must. And now that doesn't just mean there's all kinds of platforms that you could be on, Facebook, Instagram, and that kind of thing. But LinkedIn is really where you want to be for a career. So let's talk about that for just a few minutes. Why LinkedIn? Because over 80% of employers admit that that's where they go to check out potential candidates before they even consider whether or not to bring them in for an interview. And the sad thing is over 50% of those same employers admit to finding something online that caused them not to invite that person in for an interview. It's the largest professional network with over 600 million users, and it's also the best place that you can go to establish a career brand. So now, like I said, there were 5 different areas that we wanted to talk about tonight. And the first thing that we want to talk about is keywords. You got to think about keywords just like you would search engine optimization for websites. So they work the same way for recruiters and hiring managers. When a recruiter has a job posting that they're interested in or that they're trying to find someone to fill, they put in a certain set of search criteria. And your profile has to have those same words in there for it to match. And for that way, you'll come up as one of the best choices for that job. LinkedIn also works on algorithms just like other digital platforms. So, the more you engage, the more times that you update your profile, the more times you like other postings that you see, LinkedIn rewards you as being a frequent user. The other thing that matters is how well you fill out your profile. If you have just the basics, like the little summary and maybe a couple jobs that you've held in the past, that's not going to be enough for LinkedIn to reward you as a good user. If you're not being rewarded as a good user, then you're not going to show up in searches for people, because LinkedIn is going to say that your profile is not what it needs to be. If you've ever looked, you'll notice that your profile has been given a score. It's just star rating. So you want to do everything that you can to get your profile all the way up to the superstar user status. And the way that you do that is that you're going to really focus on the 4 areas that you see on the screen right here. That's your headline, your summary, your work experience, and then being able to demonstrate your skills in a way that gets attention. Now, one thing I'm going to warn you about, though, is something that we call keyword stuffing. It's just like, let me give you an example. If your summary, you made a statement like, I'm an organized team player who handles coding, finance, sales, builds inter-office relationships, all while juggling a bunch or a multitude of O&M responsibilities, just so that you could try and get as many keywords as you could in the statement, you're going to actually be penalized because they call that keywording stuffing. You're basically overloading your profile with a bunch of different keywords that really don't make sense in the sense that you're trying to showcase your best attributes. And so in order for us to make sure that we don't overload in any one spot, we have to look at a bunch of different places. And that's going to lead me to our next spot that we're going to talk about, which is your headline. All right, the number one mistake that people make in LinkedIn is they settle for the default headline. You know, LinkedIn will take basically whatever your current job description is, and they'll make that your headline. So I'm going to share with you my little secret formula here. And it's called job title or skill plus a keyword that you found from the job description and add a little zing. And that's going to equal a noticeable headline. So just look at these examples that I have here for you to look at. Basically the Beyonce of Excel spreadsheets and SEO. Now, you can't tell me that that would not get more attention than someone that said, I do spreadsheets and I know how to code. Or expert in trend forecasting, data analysis, and all the internet lingo that you have to look up on Urban Dictionary. So what that's saying is that they're your go-to person if you need anything to know about what's currently happening, and that you need to know anything about what's going on the web. And finally, freelance graphic designer with 5+ years of experience helping restaurants design taste bud tempting menus, sorry. So you're automatically developing a picture in your brain from that. So you can tell that they're a graphic designer, that they have experience, and they're showing you that they actually have a focus that they work on, which is restaurant menus. So all of these, you know, like I said, it kind of beats just being proficient at Excel, right? You have to get a little bit creative so that someone has a reason to stop. You're using keywords and a little creativity. You're letting recruiters know that you're looking and that you're going the extra mile to make sure that they notice. So from here, we're going to actually move into summary. And that's the second mistake that people make, is not filling it out. LinkedIn will give you a score on the completeness of your profile. So the more that you fill out, the higher your score is, which means that you're going to actually show up in more searches, which is what you want to do. And so let's go on, and we're going to head into the land of the summary. Now, this is one thing that some people get a little bit antsy about. The summary is not an objective statement. In fact, you want to make this a statement all about you. It needs to be in first person. I know that may sound a little bit weird to you, and it takes a little bit getting used to when you're writing that, but you really do want to write it in first person. You're going to want to combine an overview of your skills, your passion, your values, and demonstrate what you'll bring to an organization. You know, my Successfully Ever After formula says, add a dash of victories, which are your accomplishments, show your values, your passions, and your superpowers, which are your skills. Add anything like vital stats that you need to, which is your current position, a geographic location that you need to be in, and then add a little bit of spunk and validation. So you have to think of it as almost like telling a story. You want it to unfold in front of the reader. And, you know, you can even start your summary with a question if that helps you to try and engage someone. But I'm going to give you 10 questions that I want you to either ask yourself, or better yet, ask someone else to read your summary and see how they answer these questions. And then you're going to give yourself a score, 1 point for each one that you say yes, and of course nothing for anything that you say no. And your goal is going to be at least get a 7 out of 10 on this. So number 1, does the opening sentence make you want to read more? Number 2, is it authentic and consistent with who you are? Number 3, does it differentiate you from your competitor? Number 4, is it relevant to the position that you wish to obtain? Does it explain how you add value? Does it convey your personality? Is it formatted correctly? Does it incorporate images? And we're going to talk about images in a little bit more detail in just a few minutes. Did you include external validation? Is it free of grammatical errors and typos? And did you remember to include a splash of those keywords? Now, if you've gone through your profile and you don't get a 10 out of 10 or a 7 out of a 10, don't worry, don't get discouraged. It takes some time and you've got time to rewrite it and do it again. Um, it does take time and effort to create a great scroll stopping summary. And so work on sprucing up what you got. And, you can always contact me and I'm happy to help you with it too later. So now, like I said, we were going to talk about images and why that they're very important. I want you to take a look at these two people. Let's start with your profile picture. Statistics say that a LinkedIn profile with a great headshot is going to receive 20 times more views and 9 times more connection requests. Now, why does that matter? Well, of course, the more people that are wanting to connect with you and the more people that stop and check out your profile, the better off that you are, especially if you're looking for work currently. And humans are just wired to make judgments based on appearance. And the number one thing that you can do to get more views is have that photo and make sure that you're making eye contact with someone, that you're looking forward, and that you're smiling. See, if you look at these two people on the screen, you automatically get the impression that they are happy, that they're open, they're willing to have a conversation, they're professionally dressed. All of these little things matter. They send cues to recruiters and other people who make a judgment about whether or not you will actually fit into a position that they have that they're looking to fill. So we talked about some do's. Let's talk about some don'ts. All right. Now, I know none of you would use any of these pictures as your LinkedIn profile, but let's just go through a few don'ts just in case you have any questions about them. Don't use a photo where anybody else is visible. And it's going to look really weird if you try to crop yourself out of a group photo. Have someone take a photo of you outside against a nature scene or standing in front of a neutral colored wall, preferably not white because it's going to make shadows and everything. And the way you position your body can make all the difference in the world. So I want you to stand with your body kind of at a 3/4 of an angle to the camera and put one foot slightly ahead of the other. Keep your hands loosely clasped in front of you. And then, of course, you're going to want to crop it after they take it for you from about mid-chest or waist up. You never want to use a full body shot, and hardly ever do you want to use a head-only shot because it looks like you've just kind of been chopped off at the neck. We talked about making sure that you dress appropriately for the job that you want to receive. Make sure that you smile. Nobody wants to see skin in these pictures. This is a professional career kind of platform. This is not, you just don't want guy number 2 here to be your profile picture. And finally, make sure that your picture is not blurry, out of focus, or pixelated, like the one here that we're showing on the screen. Now, the other thing that you can do to really, really amp up the views of your profile is to use links and images. The more things that you have going on with your page, the more things that people want to stop and investigate. And so just to show that I practice what I preach, here is a copy of my LinkedIn profile. So you can see at the top, not only do I have a profile picture, but I have a banner image as well. Banner images are another thing that a lot of people forget. And that's right up here at the top where it says get noticed, get hired. You can look. My headline says Career Branding Strategist, VP of Communications and Public Relations, speaker and award-winning author. So I did not let LinkedIn choose my job title to be my headline for me. You're welcome to go online and read my summary statement, which is the about section. But what I want you to look at here is all of the pictures and the links that we've added into this profile to make it have some eye-catching appeal, to give them something to look at when they stop in each area, these kind of things. You can include photos, you can include links to videos, you can include presentations, you can include web addresses so that they can go and look at articles that you've posted online. There's a whole lot of things that you can actually do to do that. And you can do a multitude of them. You don't have to do just any one thing, and then you can order them the way that you want to, so that they work best for you. And anyway, this is all about making it something that somebody wants to stop and investigate a little bit more. And you can see how something with all of this going on it would grab their attention so much more than just a wall of solid text, right? All right, so we've talked about the headline, we've talked about the summary, we've talked about adding links and images and the importance of your profile picture. And so the next thing I want to talk about is if you do all these things, just imagine how it's going to feel when you start seeing your profile getting viewed by recruiters daily, that you're starting to receive new connection requests in your field. When you start getting companies that reach out to you about job opportunities. And of course, you know, that profile leads to new opportunities at a company and a job that you would love. You know, these are all my goals for you. And the reason that I say that LinkedIn is so important, you know, the other thing that I want you to think about is not just in the terms of getting a new job, but I also want you to think about making these connections and growing your network. Over, I think the latest number that I heard was well over 80% of actual jobs come from a recommendation from someone, not from the postings on Monster and Indeed and all the other mega job posting sites that you see. So when you start thinking about it, where are you going to make these career connections? Well, they're not in your daily life, like the people that you go to church with or that you currently work with or that you are in your circle of friends. The only other place that you can grow that network is online. And so LinkedIn is one of those places where you can really work to build a relationship and people would be willing to actually recommend you and let you know when there's positions available. And now, so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how can you increase your network by at least maybe 3 a week. If you start small like that, who can you reach out to? Who can you connect with? Are there companies that you really admire and that you can find people that work with in similar positions that you're interested in that you can connect with? Now, a word of warning here. When you start reaching out, the last thing I want you to do is to make your first introduction with somebody. Hey, you know any jobs at your company? That's a big, big no-no. What I want you to do is connect with them like you would too when you were going to start making friends. I want you to find out, you know, what's going on in their career world. Is there industry news that's happening? You know, actually get to know them as a person so that they don't feel like, oh, all they're doing is just kind of trying to hit me up for a job and I don't know anything about them. You know, and then if something does come up later on, you've actually made this connection with them and they're going to feel way more comfortable actually wanting to help recommend you and get you in front of the right people so that you can actually find some of these jobs. So that is kind of it in a nutshell. If anybody wants me to take a look at their profile, I'm happy to do that. If you want to pop it in the chat for me, I'll be happy to pick a couple and go through those online, or I can just answer some questions that you might have. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now and get back over here where I can actually see the comments that are coming through. All right, well, it looks like we do have a couple of questions here. So the first question I see is, how much information do I need to put about my education? Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean? Okay, all right. So the person asking the question says that they have a high school diploma and some college, but not a college degree. Yeah, that's perfectly okay. In this day and age, I'll tell you, college degrees matter, but not to the extent that you might think that they do. A high school degree is almost always a necessity or a GED. So you're definitely going to want to put, you know, the high school diploma and put the college that you attended and just don't put a graduation date. If you were starting to specialize in a certain field, go ahead and put that information out there on the dates that you attended. But another thing that you can do is really kind of focus on some online classes or either some certifications, free online training courses that you've taken. If there's a certain area that you're wanting to find a job in, a lot of times certifications will actually get you over that hump. People realize that you've put in some extra effort, that you have gone and got extra training that is relevant to the skill set that you're looking at today. And, those kind of things can really beef up an education area that you might feel is a little bit lacking. All right, I have another question about keywording. How do I figure out what keywords to use? That's the $1,000,000 question. So let me just explain a little bit about how there's some software called ATS, which is applicant tracking software. And anytime you fill out a resume or an online listing, the company that posted has set a certain list of words that it's looking for to consider that you are a qualified candidate. Generally speaking, you have to have at least 80% of the qualifications that they're looking for it to allow your resume or your online application through, so it can be seen by a real human being. But in your LinkedIn profile, there's no one checking that except for like recruiters and things like that if they're looking for certain positions. So my best advice to you is to find a couple of job postings that have jobs that are similar to what you're looking for. Go through those, and I say pull out your old trusty highlighters and go through those and mark the skills and the training that you need. Make sure you look not only in the experience area of the job posting, but also look at this part where it talks about the company, because a lot of time you'll find some things in there like we're a team oriented organization, or they're very philanthropic, which means that community involvement matters to them. And these are all things that you can work into your profile as well. Once you go through those job descriptions of the postings that you're interested in, you can pick out the ones that you must similarly, oh, that's hard to say, similarly relate to, and make you a list, and then go back through your work experience in your summary section or your about section like we were talking about, and see how you can work some of those in. And now remember, you don't want to go in and you don't want to put them one after another in there. You want to actually, like scatter them out. Like think about it as the candy sprinkles on top. You want them kind of all over the place and not all glumped up in one little kind of area. But anyway, that's a good way to get started trying to find those keywords that you need to incorporate into your profile. All right, well, I'm not seeing any more questions, and nobody has popped a link into the chat for me to review their LinkedIn online live here. So I will leave you all tonight with thank you for coming. I will pop this recording into our Successfully Ever After Facebook group. You're welcome to join that. You can find that on my Facebook page. Or, if you want more information about any of our other programs, feel free to go to www.shellyphillips.com. We are running a couple of special promotions right now. If you're interested in a 2021 career planner, do shellyphillips.com/career-planner, and you can download one of those for free right now. Anyway, thanks for spending your Sunday evening with me, and I hope this little LinkedIn training gets your profile to be a scroll stopper. Thanks. Have a good night.